Wholeness and balanced vibration to everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the 2012 show. Today is a great day indeed. It's Sunday, March the 18th, 2012. We're still in the time of Aries, and the Ram, as they call it, has ran forth, and there is a great deal of opening in the dimension. And it's interesting because much of the symbolism behind the Ram has to do with the fallopian tubes themselves and the shape of the fallopian tubes. And because the body is a fractal, and those fractals exist in different parts, that they say that in order for the child to break the wall once it is about to come into the world, and then it has to ram against the wall in order to break it open. So we're going to talk today about what exists beyond fear, and that will come in light of me actually piercing through many of the layers of the reality and the programs of the reality to finally get through to the other side and make contact with myself. So before I get started, I'm going to ask someone in the chat room to notify me that they can hear me clearly by simply typing in the chat box, "I can hear you clear," or something of this nature. So I'm going to wait on that. Okay, as I said, if someone does have access to the Blog Talk Radio chat box, if you can type in there that you do hear me clearly, it lets me know that you can hear me clear. Okay, like I said, I'm waiting on still a confirmation, so we're going to check sound here to make sure that our lines are open. Okay, I now have a confirmation that we're loud and clear, and here we go. So basically what this is really about is that you have to understand that all I'm going to be delivering from here on out is the exact information about how to keep penetrating through this dimension to get to what you want. And I believe in my heart that there's nothing wrong with that I don't know what kind of stigma that has infected our species. However, it can be narrowed down to fear because of what fear causes. Now, fear causes a closing in, and they call this like the boy in the bubble. And I believe there was just recently a movie that came out, something about We Are Loud or Loud and Clear or something of that movie, where the boy was once again emulating the boy in the bubble. And there's been a few other movies that are just like this. And what they're trying to send out is this message to show that humanity's options and choices and ideas and programs and inhibitions, fears, things that have happened to the members of humanity have actually placed them in a bubble, a protective barrier. And this is actually a protective barrier to protect oneself from none other than another member of the species from doing things to you. Meaning that if you look at Earth in its bubble, the most that occurs here is that people act out on one another in certain ways. Let's say you have Illuminati acting out on people in certain ways. You have the Mystic Order of the Shrines acting out. You have the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and you have all these different people acting out on each other. So thus, what has been formed is a protective barrier. Everyone has a protective barrier from the person adjacent to them. Things that we can identify. We identify that as next to you as a living person next to you as a human being. So when our fears start to trickle into the alien or extraterrestrial world or beings that we haven't identified, those fears are born here. That must be clear. That unless you have made contact with other life forms, you cannot judge other life forms from this standpoint. Meaning that inside of this bubble, acting like you know what's outside of the bubble. So this fear is, again, what creates the bubble, because as we talked about, and we always talk about with the pineal gland, in its closed position, it's in that position because when you scare something, it draws back. When too much essence is received, and that essence becomes disturbing to you, the pineal gland will close, and your sensors will start to close down to defend themselves from it. So what you're really dealing with is when you interact with someone, if you have an active pineal gland, you can feel everything about what they are, what they're saying, what signal they're sending to you. So let's say, for instance, a woman with an active pineal gland, if she comes in front of a man and that man is desiring her, she can feel all of the desire. So you can see why, because even the flesh is feminine, that when something acts out too much on the feminine side of our component in a negative way, it closes up. So our material faculties, which is the body becomes the test in this case, but our material faculties have closed up because individuals adjacent to you may act out on you, and if you can feel everything and how they're acting out, especially if you get into conflict, right now it's been deemed by you too much to take. So how you get beyond this is you have to make connection with yourself. You have to contact you. If you think that the way that you're acting now with the program, if you've been susceptible to this, now I'm not talking to maybe those that may be listening that were reared from the womb, their parents were conscious, feeding themselves with the proper foods and doing the yogas and all the necessary things, and the babies came in the world birthed by dolphins. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to those of us who, like I said, we've been playing the console, the video game. We've been doing the Max Factor with the makeup. We've been programmed with the TV of the one-eyed god of Zeus, as now we've fully identified, even George Washington depicting himself as Zeus and as God in many of the temples that were built in the United States that we're calling parliament houses or White Houses, etc. So if you've been in that's, I'm talking to you, because now me and you have something in common, because in that I absorbed all of it, meaning that when the patriotism began to take place in the United States early with concepts like the Jetsons and the development of us going to the moon and all these different concepts and programs, when you have those embedded in your mind, even the symbolism behind that, then to undo that, meaning to unclasp that bubble, it takes technique. So today, we're going to talk about the techniques of how to release the mind from its fears so that it can in turn release the body from its fears so it can in turn release the soul. You have to study within yourself which one is controlling certain points. Is it the mind, the body, and the soul? You don't look at it from a positive or a negative level, because there are negative and positive souls. People have souls within them, but how they act and what they do determines whether that soul becomes negative or positive. People have negative and positive minds. You could be an ingenious mind and use it completely for destruction, while you could be a brilliant mind and create and develop things that are spraying health into humanity. See what I mean? So it definitely is not a positive and negative thing. You just have to figure out which one is controlling certain functions. Is your heart into it? This is the control point. The heart is the engine of your entire system. So you know what your heart on a physical level is, but do you know what your heart is on a spiritual level? And so all you have to do is use this MBS, use the mind-body-soul technique to triangulate every single situation that you're experiencing so that you make sure you get all perspectives and it's hedged in. Meaning that when you're trying to track down a problem that you're experiencing and where it's coming from, think of it in your mind from the state of your mind, then from the state of your body, then from the state of your soul. Then you have surrounded it. And then you can pinpoint and figure out exactly where it's coming from. Okay? So this kind of knowledge of what I'm explaining now is the knowledge that the ones that are masquerading around as angels, etc., they know this knowledge. Because here's what happened. It's got more of the completion of the story about the human hybrid and what exactly took place. Now, notice in the Bible, again, it says the Elohim said, let us make man. We know that the Elohim are different sets of angels. They have seraphim, Ophanim, different sets of angels that correspond to animalistic traits, mainly the birds and the snakes. Okay? So when they came into this system, the body that they were in is very similar to our soul. Okay? I'll say that again. When they came into this system, everyone knows the origin of this planet. I explained it three shows ago. When they came into the system as penetrating rays, they were utilizing what we know as our soul or spirit. Now, the next emanations that came after that had animal body plus spirit, which creates mind. Okay? So then that's why this is the third planet. That's why there's triangulation on the 3D. Triangles are everywhere. This is why it goes on here, because what you are literally sitting on and sitting in is a vehicle that is really half God and half human. So all the demigods are here. So what you are dealing with is that the gauntlet that is set up for you is the gauntlet for the beast, because the animal body that we're in is not just one animal. It's several. But those who are more indigenous are closer to one animal. Those after the colonization, or meaning after the animals crossed from the southern hemisphere into the northern hemisphere through things like the Isthmus of Panama, where the animals that were in the lower kingdoms came into the higher kingdoms, and there was a conflict between those animals, because you can't stick a lion and a bear in the same space and then expect for them to not need space, because they're in bestial form. So what this set gauntlet in front of us. There's 12, and then there's one that's hidden. 12 signs of the zodiac, then one that's hidden. The one that's hidden is you. Like some people are like, well, who's the hidden one? And they've been running around trying to find the hidden one. And it's so funny because it's like they're chasing their tail. If you don't know who you are, you're the hidden one. So after running the 12 cycles of all of these different experiences, the 13th is what you end up becoming. And that's how Astral Quest works. However, there is a more superior system than this, and I'll explain to you. Because, of course, this is stair-stepping to get humanity out of the bubble. You have to convince people to come out of the bubble. So what happens is that the stair-stepping process is you deal with the 13, because in English, which is the code that everyone is on, there's 26 letters. So if you have 13 plus 13 is 26. So if you saw 26 as a circle, because it's called a cable or a cabal, English language is a cabal of 26 letters that make a circle. So half of that is a 13. So what does 13 mean? It's a half of a circle. And what is the symbol of a half of a circle? It's a D. So this is why 13 is also associated with death, because it's a door. But we also talked about how you needed 2 doors. And this is why the most powerful faction that runs the planet right now call themselves 2 doors. They have a symbol of an 8 to show 2 circles. They have a way in and a way out. Because most of these religions have only a way in. That's why so many people are stuck in them still. So let's get here to the notes. Because we have to talk about how to get people out of the bubble, because what exists beyond this fear, oh my goodness, can't even be compressed. As much as you can take is as much as it has. Who is it? It's you. Your mind actually becomes very similar to what a video game or console is capable of doing. You can pull up things. You're literally in a world where your ideas manifest the moment you think of them, and you can feel the essence off of what you create. So it's not long before you stop creating physical images and things that you've seen on Earth and just open up a pipeline of pure energy. As you're taking in this energy, your frequency levels are on high levels And even when you come back to this reality, your frequency is so high, it pushes things in this reality to manifest very fast on your behalf. So what I'm explaining to you is the way to get to this level. I'm going to explain to you step by step, especially within the next few weeks. We're definitely overhauling things in the resistance. I'm going to take it step by step of so many ways to emancipate yourself from the situation that was already available. This is why I wanted to bring attention today to the difference between and the similarities between the term rapture, as it's known by everyone, the rapture, and ascension. Okay. Ascension and the rapture have also now come entwined with one another because of the New Age movement, where ascension means 2012 now. When 2012, December the 12th, blah, 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 happens, everyone will ascend. This is no different than waiting on the J-Man to come out of the sky when the end comes and hook everyone. See what I mean? So it's almost like you have to look at, has the program seeped into our original concept of what it is to go beyond? Because look at this. The phoenix bird really did exist here, and it was a bird that can transmute itself. The symbol of that meant that you can transmute yourself from death to life. Okay? Now, if someone shows the phoenix symbol, it's immediately Luciferian. So, they take the symbol and then hack the symbol and make it theirs. Now it's Luciferian. And then from Luciferian, if you do certain things, basically when they say you're Luciferian, then you get categorized even more into what society's modern concept of Luciferian is. And then it tumbles down from there. Meaning that what you'll find if you play with your mind in this program and don't understand how to remove yourself from it is a continuous locking you into the dimension, finding more ways to tell you why you should not expand out of here. That's all you'll find in your mind, because that's what it was programmed with. And it was done by individuals that before they discovered that there was something beyond this, they could have swore this was the only thing. Now, that is a very, very prominent idea on this plane. So don't think it can't happen and didn't happen with these so-called higher beings, that they imagine that they're the only one. Why? Because in the Gnostic text, Yah the Veil, serpent himself, the one who wrote the Bible, Mr. Ophanim, said to everyone, I am the only God, there is no other gods before me, I'm the jealous God. Okay, that's actually, when you even speak that way, is the God of the Bible, this is a paradox, because why is there the meaning of acknowledging if there's other gods if there's no other gods? So, obviously, like I said, people are under a program that will not allow them to expand outside this bubble. Our advent here, we're already here, is to teach people step by step how to remove themselves from that, because it is 100% possible. So this, to me, is like one of the greatest things, because there's nothing holding it up. The only thing that we're doing now is we're organizing things. Like I said, those who've taken a look into the resistance have seen now that there are some groups. There's going to be a lot more. Like, I'm working on some things, and my only delay right now is, because I'm also working today, is that Ning's platform is buckling under my pressure of adding things to the network right now. I will explain to you something that I did just recently learn about computers. Why is there this incessant need to go faster, make things faster? Like, have you ever noticed that with the computers, they keep stepping up the processor speed, right? But if you notice also on the PC units or the Mac units, it's now limited to Windows 7. Windows 7 is bottlenecking the power of a PC. So people have to go over to this Linux or Macintosh system and see just how fast that processor can really push their applications. But why is there all of this need to go faster? I'll tell you why. There are people now that can move so fast on the computer that the only thing they're doing is calculating the mathematics behind the shapes of dimensions and then hitting enter, because it takes a while to put in all that code, then hitting enter, and then they see the exact field and they project themselves into it. Now, once again, people would think these kind of things are far off, maybe not true, but the reality is once you get a chance to open up the facilities that you're installed with, not something that you have to go and get from somewhere from somebody, but something that you have, you'll see that those things are the lower levels of things that are able to be accomplished. Because the other problem with those who have unlocked this information, this ability, is that they don't have the imagination to really harness it. Let me explain this to you. When you get into the fields of manifestation and your system is turned on, it's still wholly dependent upon your entire structure of what you've been through, your experiences. All of that calculates your biorhythm. And so when you go to project, nothing can change it. You see what I mean? Like some people now are projecting into the physical reality and they have things that look good from the outside, but in the inside they're no good. But that's why they say in the higher planes, you cannot, nobody can lie to you because you can see everything that they project. That is the universal rule there. So I want to tell people now that a lot of their thoughts of what the controllers have really been able to do in all of their talking about their technology is false. That because of their minds, they could not harness it. It tore their brain up, so they locked it away. And because it was a part of us, it was locked inside of us. Where else to put it? They sometimes hint in movies about this. Where else to put something that you're really trying to hide from someone, but inside of them? If you put it inside of them and then you make them go everywhere else to look for it, they'll never find it. So, to the end with the diaboli, because those kind of thoughts are where that comes from, the papacy, the cardinal, the ones that are clinging on to this because they enter Saturn and can't get out. Saturn is the cube itself. That's when, if you can't think your way out of the cube, then this is the ones who have taken the gate to hell but have not been able to get out. Because they were reading a book that taught them that they should be able to go into hell, take keys from darker beings, meaning take knowledge. See, they say take keys, like you're thinking they're going to take keys and unlock people out of stuff. No, keys are knowledge. Going into hell, taking keys or knowledge, and then thinking they're going to be able to bring it back and prosper. But have become entangled by it entirely, as the magician will always become limited to his tricks. So, what we're going to do, because this is only an hour show today, and I've pretty much got a bulk off of what I wanted to say. Got 35 minutes left in. There's been a slight time situation which has now been corrected, but I'm sure there's another set of people that are going to be coming in about 30 minutes to listen to the show, and unfortunately the show will actually be over at that point. And it's only because here's another really strange thing that makes no sense. In Costa Rica, it's still Central Standard Time, but we don't observe daylight savings time, so it's still 10:25 here, while in Texas, it's also Central Standard Time, but it's 11:25 in Texas. So here you have two Central Standard Time zones that are different. Now, isn't the whole idea of a time zone to let everyone know what exact time you're on? So, check it out yourself. Go to the internet, check out the time in Costa Rica. It's 10:25, but in most places that are on Central Standard Time, it's actually 11:25. So, what's going on with the time? I'm going to take this moment. The panel is off today. They are doing some things out in the field. I just wanted to send wholeness and balance to them also, Wes and Crystal, Luis. I want to also say what's up definitely to also Pablo, but also Vanessa, a new addition to the team, and definitely a powerhouse in getting organized. So I definitely wanted to say what's up to her on air, and you guys are going to be hearing from her, and she's going to be the resistance liaison. She's going to be doing certain things and getting things organized, and that's going to really help to assist people to getting their questions answered right away and direction to what's happening. We're going to set up some surveys so we can figure out exactly what people really, really need and where they're at in their knowledge, of course, and their application. Of course, we're here in Costa Rica, so there's a lot being built. But of course, this stuff has to be built. And I do want to talk to everyone here about also what me and Louise have been discussing in regards to your ideas versus your actions. And this was a very powerful conversation. I didn't get a chance to record it. But what happens for us is because many of us are supreme optimists, meaning that no matter what has been happening in the dimension, we've always known that, to be honest, the problem is bolted with the solution on the dual plane. Again, the problem is always bolted with the solution on the dual plane. If you see the problem, then all you have to do is look close for the solution. So because we know that, even when we're experiencing some of the greatest turmoil, we can get through it. So what happens often, though, is how we get through it with our ideas. We basically begin to amplify ourselves on free energy. It's just the essence of our idea. It's like running on fumes for real. Your ideas of what you're to do for the world and what you're going to do in the future and that next step. And you always have something that's your next step, like whether it's the Ethereum gold or whether it's reading that book. It's like once I get that in my system, I know that I'm going to be that much more advanced. So we have fed ourselves off of this. And this is how we've ended up becoming, it's not a breatharian, it's the Etherean being. You just basically eat ether and ideas. However, now that you've learned that supreme state, you must learn now how to transcend ethereal ideas into action. Because this is actually what its correspondence is on the physical plane. They say that the whole idea of powerful beings that could manifest things with their mind is so that later that those things that are manifested in the mind have the chance to basically act out in physicality to prove that the thought it could carry and it was that strong. So we have to understand even our existence is a strong thought by some grand beings that have yet to be identified, moving fast through space and time. So what happens is that, but even for us to remain solid back here and anchored somehow and still working with this to gain the expansion, there's a larger mind, body, soul that is actually holding us in what you call like a composition. So just remember that. Sometimes when we think that we're all alone, just remember to actually project you means that something automatically has a firm connection to you and is there for you and is bringing you through these experiences. So I kind of just a little bit got a little bit off topic, but let me just finish off with another few things, just a few more things that I wanted to announce in regards to the resistance site. Of course, there are groups. I did want to let everyone know personally about stuff that's going to be going on within the blog, going to be going on within the forum, and going to be going on within the videos. We're going to be removing a lot of content because a lot of the content is only serving to confuse people when they are coming into the site. And a lot of that stuff is from 2 years ago, at least 2 years ago, and stuff that is already proved not to happen and already debunked, or people that were involved with other certain things that we just really don't want to have the platform contaminated with that kind of stuff. So people will be getting back posts. It's definitely no offense. Some stuff just doesn't fit in with the actual way we're going to start interlinking all the information so that it just basically lays out the entire path, and that's it. And we just want to be that for people so that they can come in, get what they want, and then go. The idea of the resistance and AstroQuest even is not to hold people on virtual platforms, but to take them into the real world and let them utilize the information that they've been provided and actually bring it into the world. And I saw another gentleman, he was talking about how all of the stuff that we have created most of the stuff that we've created has not done anything for taking us to a next level, and that when will we learn that none of this stuff really would work. And I beg to differ. I just believe that the type of stuff that people have always dealt with, you have individuals behind it that want to control how much they give it to you. Like that's that fear of scarcity. So when you're talking about knowledge, what's happened in this world is that the knowledge, the real knowledge is not about how to build nuclear weapons. Okay? The real knowledge is like chemistry 101. Just being able to take something into its monatomic state. Once you can do that, you can ingest it and then see what effect it has on your inner verse. So that makes you in the world like an explorer, like a real explorer. And all you're doing is transmuting and becoming a part of things that you're encountering. And so what's the big holdup is what we're dealing with in the reality with all of this different rhetoric and stuff that's useless and, like I said, junk DNA, junk information, junk TV, stuff that's not true, lies, backwards words when bad means good, ciphers where you got to basically figure out things and take apart things in order to get the meaning of it. When you have a direct connection, you're getting it through a different kind of, we'll say, a different kind of cable. If language is what we use to communicate, but they're saying the cable is what we use to communicate, look at the computer. The computer has cables that it plugs into different things in order to communicate. So what is your interface? Like when I look at the bottom of your cable and what it can plug into, what does it look like? Is it limited? Is it a square? Is it multi-pinned? What is it? And so I start using these visualizations when you understand how vast you are. Like when you use the circle and you just visualize circles in tubes, like I visualize a large tube in my center that's just open. There's nothing in there that is hindering the flow of energy. When in the higher states of the meditation and doing that, it just opens up a huge vortex of energy. You just open up a gate to pure energy. In your mind is nothing. Because even to get to that point, in your mind has to be really nothing, or else everything you're thinking is just going to manifest. So do you see why when we were put on a mission to learn how to control this outside world, before we learn how to control our inside world, it was very dangerous. In addition to that, you should be able to control the rate of your heart. You should have enough control over your internal organs to basically the sound that they make, and the one that you can hear the most is your heartbeat. Once you start to learn how to control your heartbeat in sequence with your breathing through your mind is only concentrating on your heartbeat. So at that point, it has it's like a Pentium, a single Pentium. It doesn't have the ability to go dual core and start thinking about something else. When you're thinking about your heart, okay, you can't think about anything else because then you can't control your heartbeat. So once you get familiar with the feeling of when you're controlling your heartbeat, you can stay there. And then your mind has no access to you. So this is literally like, as the alien, you've walked into the heart and closed the door. And it's barriered from the mind's constant, I wonder if we got to go. How much longer are you going to do this? How long do you think we've been here? How long do you think you've been holding your breath? You see that? What do you think that is? I see something out of the corner of our eye. I think you should look. This is feeling spooky. I don't know. Are we doing this right? My leg is tired. You see, you got to lock yourself out of certain things. And then you have to lock things out. And one of them is the mind. In the higher states of the meditation, lock out the mind. Control your heart. Make it beat to the rhythm of your breath. And then from that point, you're now in the zone. You'll know what to do from there. So those are the blank, as I call them, the blank directions that need to be applied action. And that's what we're dealing with. So I'm going to just give this time to look into the chat box here. I want everyone to know that I've definitely been up for quite some time. I was up actually early this morning continuing this overhaul. So I'm just a little bit under the weather as far as energy is concerned, but I think I'm still projecting it really well. But there's a lot of things that need to be done. It's almost like in making contact with myself, I looked at the site and I said, man, this could be so much more fluid. We could do so much more. Let's get to working on it. And that was like about 4 days ago. And then ever since then, I've just been doing like the no sleep in front of the computer, just some quinoa, a bowl of quinoa or something over there to eat, or a smoothie, and then back at it again and just getting on this mainframe and getting everything tightened up. And then once everyone gets informed from there, then we can move into the field, because the other thing is that I'm going to be moving into the field now. I'm not going to be on the internet as much, but everything will even remain more cohesive because people will get a chance to see me and a lot of other people that I'm coming in contact with. And it just gives us more reasons why, and it just gives us more ability and encouragement. It becomes a lifestyle. And that's what we really need. Like, there's nothing here that cannot be thwarted. There's nothing here that cannot be changed and transmuted. It's just based on how many individuals that make themselves available for that. And the first thing that happens is the transmutation happens within you. The only real thing is that we must control it in the inside, because that controls the outside. It's so simple, but it's so powerful. If you understand how to command your body, send it commands. Don't be clammed up in thinking, oh, I'm talking to myself, or thinking, I don't even know if this is even right. I separate so many different parts of my body because they are different. Like, the heart is not the kidney. So I talk to the kidney, or I talk to the heart, and let the heart talk to the kidney. You have to start running these type of drills within your own body, like, let's shape up. Because this is where the mind, have you ever noticed how the mind in certain individuals can really overpower their fatigue and overpower many different things if they just have a strong mind? You got to look at some of the individuals that truly train their minds so that their bodies can respond to when they need it to go into action. But in this case, you're not just going out to be some type of MMA fighter. You're working on controlling your organs. Then once you can do that, then you've opened up that portal. So what I'm going to do is, that's pretty much, like I said again, all I needed to really say. I'm going to take a moment. We're going to put a little bit of music on for a minute. I'm going to take a look at the chat box, since I don't have anyone that's actually looking at it for me right now, to see if there's any questions. And then if there's no questions in there, we're going to go ahead and conclude today's show so I can get back to organizing the resistance really fast so that everyone can get into this next experience. So I'm just asking everyone to hold on for a moment while I go ahead and examine things and take a little drink of water. If you would like to call in, you can call in at area code 347-996-5688. That's 347-996-5688. And if you press 1, then I can see the indicator here, and then I can answer your question. So what I'm going to do before we conclude today's show is I'm going to talk a little bit about the group titles and just a little bit of what's happening within the resistance and what's going to be changing. So of course, now the groups are up on the front page. And we also are having a new Start Here section built right now. And this is going to allow new members that come in to get the exact information they need to get in order to get familiar with the site, what the site does, and where everything is. And I think that that's obviously simple to do, but of course we've been really, really busy. And I think also the resistance is really needed to be for a while, just a place that gathers information, thoughts, and we start to share certain things with each other in order to be able to cull from that or take from the top of that and then present that to the world. So our experiences and what we've been dealing with for the last 2 years are now going to be put in a way where people can also basically have that growth within a short period of time by understanding that when we're all connected, we all begin to experience the same thing. And so when a person reads what they're experiencing, it just allows them to quicken. It's just called the quickening. It basically makes a pipeline, like one big guy is running in front and everyone's following that person just to move through this thing faster. It's not like the one in the front is the leader and et cetera. It's not an ego thing at all. It has nothing like that attached to it. It's just an effort to get something complete. Like people that build a house, everyone's in it and in there working. And no one really has that much time to focus on what another person is doing because you're focusing on your work. So these groups are like the armaments of the ship itself, because really what I want to do is I want to keep a lot of the terminology very simple for people by using analogies of things they have to deal with every single day. And also even ideas of what it will really be like to be on something galactic, because we are on a ship. The Earth is spiraling with the sun and all the rest of the vehicles or parts of the vehicle through space. And so we're on a ship. And from that standpoint, then we have these armaments or compartments. And we have individuals that are in there that are working heavily on those parts, so that way there can be a wholeness within the ship. And so one of those parts is the lucid dreamers, which is one of the groups. A lot of people have definitely commented a lot. We saw that really more than anything else about their dreams and asking what their dreams mean. That was really the bulk of what was going on in the forum. And so we wanted to dedicate a specific group to lucid dreaming and the dream interpretation, because it's something that many of us have the ability to do. We have universal systems for signs and things that one may see. And it's just something, and many people want to experience the lucid dream, and there's a lot of techniques to help you with that, and many of them that are definitely been tested out by a lot of people in that work. So we want to just get you access to that, so that way all that information can be in one place. We also have etymology and ciphering. I think there's been a lot of books, a lot of posts and different things where we've just really torn into the etymology, and all those posts are really not visible anymore. And so we really want to start moving a lot of stuff into these sections where it can really be specific for people and they get a chance to see all of the information that's related and what we've accumulated on that particular title. The In the Know section or In the Know group actually gives us the ability to give you current affairs. Most people don't watch current affairs in regards to what's going on in the news and what's going on around the world, because in their spiritual or inner-verse journey, they tend to not like to get involved with that kind of stuff. However, of course, we're a faction, so we definitely get involved on all fronts. And one of those is still in the world. Like, we have big ideas for the world and what we want to do for humanity, but we want to do it like a laser. We don't want to go in there with the elephant gun. We don't want to start marching downtown and, see how much effect that causes and wasting people's time. So what In the Know is about is watching exactly what's going on around the globe with current affairs and how that meshes into the overall occult nature of the reality, and, basically what we can do in our own fields in order to help others in what they're going through, and also keep up levels of defense against much of the things that are being sent out from a negative level in the reality. We also have other species and life forms. There's been a big desire of myself to actually categorize many of the beings that I know and recognize are running around the dimension. I've even seen them now in certain individuals that are out there speaking. And this species classification, I think, will really help us figure out exactly why we should not be blaming one particular species for a problem, meaning the reptiles or the goats or whatever, but more to identify the entire classification of them, where they come from, etc. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we really need to talk about with the geometry, that kind of thing. So we approach it from an entirely different level as a categorization that's really non-biased. There's spiritual technology, which is really things like orgone to me, the GB4000 to me. This is really spiritual technology in the sense that where technology is being used in order to allow us to identify the actual core patterns of the universe. Like within the cymatics, it is still it's technology, because this frequency is generally being pushed through a frequency generator, and there's a chip in there. So from that state, it's technology. Even though this word tech is a lot older than the idea that we have for technology itself, because tech is the root to the word Aztec, and tech always means ahead. So basically, if you look at the word technology, and that's how it got synonymous with what's ahead, but it doesn't mean that our technology is ahead. So in a nutshell, spiritual technology section is the fringe of what allows you to actually benefit from, what will allow you to benefit from some of the things that have been developed through the different means that we've learned now. We have also psychotropics and fringe. And this, of course, is more deeper into the things such as the dimethyltryptamine, things such as ayahuasca, and what those journeys really entail, what they bring about, and their overall effect on spirituality. So it's more of a section for individuals like the psychonauts and the ethereal time lords that have gone out into other planes and seen other things, and they can bring that information to let us know really more of what's out there in their universe, I guess. Ascension techniques is that overall area where Reiki masters and different individuals that have techniques can share those techniques. Like there's been some awesome ways of breathing. Of course, we're going to be doing some more whole body breathing videos, but we want a place to put all of that so those who want to work more on their technique rather than their speed, they can go in there and get serviced. So that's pretty much going to be it for today. I'm going to take one caller from the 404 area code, and then I'm going to take a glance in the chat box. As I said, everyone, just a little bit tired today. However, we got a lot that we're pushing out in the resistance, so it's important that we remain present. So I'm always here for you. Okay, caller from the 404 area code, you are on the 2012 show. Wholeness.
Peace, brothers. This is Angel calling from Atlanta. How you doing today?
I'm doing exceptionally well, Angel. How are you?
I won't complain. Yeah, one time I know you were talking about making the library available. I wanted to know where you are at with that at this point.
The library actually should be available now. We did have a little bit of trouble with labeling everything, but everything did get labeled. Well, actually, we didn't finish labeling everything, but we did get a chance to actually make all the downloads available. So if you go to the I believe it's esu.com. I can put the address in the chat box there. I think it's www.esu.com / maybe the resistance. But I can check on that for you. And then if you just link up with us through the site, then I can get it for you. But it is open. We were able to take all those books that they became downloadable. I'm not sure if you've been in there lately.
Yes, okay, I'll go back and check. I appreciate that.
Okay, yeah, actually it is. It's issue.com / the resistance. That's ISSUU.com / the resistance.
Okay. All right, thank you, brother.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, well, that was our only caller. And like I said, let me just check the chat box here real quick. All right, so we're going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm going to conclude today's show and go and do a couple things. Like I said, definitely look forward within a week and a half. We're also relocating a lot of different projects coming out through Resistance, a totally new overhaul, everything really, really becoming more fluid. We're going to get everyone incorporated. We're going to get some weekly newsletters out to you to let you know what the developments really are around here. And also, I wanted to let everyone know in regards to cleansing, like what needs to really, really be done and just what's going on today and where the energy really is. I will really tell you to avoid getting angry and start learning how to use the anger energy, if you're experiencing that at all, to propel you, because that is the energy that's coming across. It's more like a red energy. And you have to understand how exactly to use that energy to not infuriate you, but to allow you to go into a Zen state so that way you could become highly effective and highly powerful at what you wish to get from your total experience. So I want to say thank you to everyone, and wholeness and balanced vibrations.